So here we are, Adventure Comics 270?
370.
370. Yes. So this guy was published in May 28th, 1968. And the cover date is July 1968. And we have Jim Shooter writing it. Apparently he did the layouts as well. And then we have Curt Swan. Did Curt Swan draw this whole thing? And then Jack Abel inked it?
I think so.
Different from the last one, right? Like
no, I think the last one was the same.
It was the same, except for the first page was all Curt Swan, I think.
Oh yeah, that's right. The splash page was Curt Swan.
Mm-hmm.
This one I feel like it had, I don't know, some of it looks more like Abel solo or something.
Right.
But it's hard to tell.
We got Letter E's did only one page, and then Ben Oda lettered most of it.
Oh, really? Because last issue it was Gaspar doing the lettering.
Do you know Ben Oda?
I don't think so. I just noticed today that my copy is kind of water damaged. It smells all musty.
Oh, I hate that smell. Oh, that ad's pretty funny on the back.
I know, it looks like a real shotgun.
It doesn't say, what does it say? Like something about it being perfect for indoor or outdoor and indoor use. Their fun is all outdoors, even indoors.
All you need is 15 feet of space in a family room or basement. Yeah, my parents would have loved that.
Yeah.
In the living room, shoot at the TV.
Do these actually shoot? Oh, yeah.
It's a BB gun.
They're BB guns. Yeah. They're not even cap guns.
Yeah.
People shooting their brothers and dogs inside with the BB gun.
No, I mean, it's dangerous to shoot a BB gun, you know?
Yeah. Especially probably in close quarters, yeah.
Right, within 15 feet, that's like point blank, practically. Jeez. I think I'm going to look at the treasury on this one again.
Okay.
Because it's too wrinkly. Drives me crazy.
Gonna have to get another copy.
I know. To get another copy of all the adventure issues. So, won't happen very soon.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to get them slabbed.
No.
Oh, yeah. It starts on the left. Who's Bomba?
The Jungle Boy.
Did that ever catch on? I don't remember that character at all.
Oh, I remember it, but I don't think I ever got too many of them. I might have one issue. I think it's like Jack Sparling drew it, so it's not super exciting.
Devil's Jury.
I'm barely in the frame here.
I think you're in good, from my point of view.
Oh yeah, they put credits on it here.
Oh.
I bet the original does not have those credits. No.
Were they about 10 years apart? I think the bigger guy's 76.
Yeah. Boy, mine's brittle. It's coming apart.
Yeah, the covers on those start to they start breaking in half along the crease sometimes.
Yeah, I was noticing my C55. It has this real nice yellowing to it.
Yeah.
And it has a real warm coloring. It looks nice.
Now, is that one square bound, the C75? Like this one, I think is just folded in half, right? It doesn't have a flat.
Oh, I think all of them are.
Does it have a spine?
No, I think all of them are just stapled.
Okay.
Well, I think the Marvel ones are square bound. I think all the DC ones are stapled. Like I have the 2001, and it's a square bound thing.
Yeah, got that too. It's good.
Yeah, I actually have two of them. I should sell one and buy more Legion comics. So I guess to recap, the last issue is Mordru he's got him. The Legionnaires, Superboy, Mon Elf, Shadowlass, Duo Damsel, they're hiding out in ancient Smallville, trying to escape from Mordru. He was pissed at him because they'd locked him up in prison, but he found him, and that's where we're at right now. Oh, there was also a weird sideline story of a bunch of gangsters take over Smallville.
Some medieval themed 30s or 50s gangsters.
I was almost wondering if that was gonna like play into the final act here, but it doesn't at all. There's no reason for the stupid King Carter gangster story.
Never to be seen again.
But see, in this issue, Mordru takes over Smallville with like evil bad guys from real evil guys, and they trash everybody's house and stuff.
Right. I guess it's the second time that town's been ransacked.
Yeah, it's only been a few weeks.
Yeah. Only now it's warriors from the future, right? Or are they from different times? They must all be from the future, right?
They're all from the future. I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves here a little bit.
1,000 years ahead of ourselves.
I wanted to point out their attempt at making a dynamic page layout with crazy panel borders here by making this a little V shape.
Yeah. It almost seems like they did that as an afterthought or something.
Yeah.
Like he'd already drawn the page and he's like, this is too boring. You got to liven it up.
Let's put a bend in there.
Yeah. Though it's keeping with the strange floor that's on the first, on the cover.
Oh, yeah. Maybe we should talk about the cover of this. That is very strange.
Mm-hmm.
The perspective of the girls and Mon-El is different than the perspective of Superboy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the main problem with it, I guess. Like everything else, like these guys, it's kind of a dramatic, distorted perspective of the bad guys up at the top.
Right.
But then, Superboy is like, you can see the bottom of his feet and stuff.
Right. And it's some sort of imaginary courtroom scene with wizards and such. It doesn't have to make a lot of sense, really.
Yeah.
In fact, I never would have noticed, except somebody on Twitter pointed out that the floor didn't make sense the other day.
Well, the floor does make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like they put a little horizon there right here,
mm-hmm.
and it's green.
Right.
But what doesn't make sense is the Superboy figure, where he's like, where it's an upshot of Superboy, but a down shot of everybody else. Pretty weird. And they kind of, it's a recreated scene from inside the issue. Makes a little more sense here. Here, we can put it side by side, can't we?
Yeah. Do you think it might have made more sense when he first drew it, and like they cut and pasted the character to a different, like they lowered him or something to make room for the title on top?
Yeah, they definitely did something. Like you can almost see how, like if you look right there on the cover, there's he's been pasted up. There's some crud right there too. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm not sure why they might have done that. Somebody didn't like that Superboy pose, I guess. It makes a little more sense in the interior version. But that one even looks like the drawings of the girls look a little weird. Like they don't look like they're drawn by a professional exactly. Like they don't look like, it doesn't look like Jack Abel, or it doesn't look like Swan and Abel drew them.
Yeah, it does look different.
I think they kind of lost a little detail maybe in the enlargement somehow. Maybe they had to retouch it. Yeah, I don't know. Strange. Some kind of cut and paste job. But it gets kind of real. Like he's What did he do? He made it so that they're stuck to the ground, and so the strong guys start to dig, and they escape, and then Superboy's scheme is to erase their memories so that Mordru can't find them. Because he can read the mind of everybody in town.
Right.
It didn't make much sense to me. This memory, it's not a memory eraser device, it's a hypnosis machine. But he hypnotizes everyone to forget their superpowers for 1 hour. He says that should be long enough.
Like this vastly powerful wizard, you could reach through time and control shadows and do all this stuff, but he has all these strange limitations. Like in the first issue, seemed to evade him largely just by, not wearing their costumes, and not did they have to not think about him. Or
I think all they did was disguise themselves in the last issue, and he had agents who were looking around.
Yeah,
But evidently now in this issue, he can read everyone's minds.
Powerful enough to pinpoint what part of the universe and what time they're in. It's just not, if they're wearing sweaters, he's not going to be able to find them.
But now if they don't think about being superheroes, they think Mordru will be unable to find them.
An almost clever plan, though Superboy seems to not take into consideration all the people who had already seen them in the last issue. Is part of how they end up finding him. That drawing on the right middle of the going through the hypnosis, I love that drawing. I don't know where. I tried to look for it. I think John Byrne might have redrawn it in a flashback somewhere in one of the comics, but I've seen it reprinted several times. I've even tried to draw this before. I just love this. I don't know why that drawing, I just love it. I think it's also maybe the first one I noticed when I looked at it close, like I could see where John Byrne got, you can see kind of some Jack Kirby in the way John Byrne draws, but there's a lot of Curt Swan style in him too. If you look at some of these profiles, they look like John Byrne drawings.
Looks like a John Byrne face on, is that Bob Cobb there? I think this must be Bob Cobb.
Yeah, I think it would have to be. Yeah, especially later, maybe not so much like in his heyday with the X-Men, but like by the 90s, he was becoming more of a more referential to the stuff he grew up with, and you can tell he's channeling a lot of those older guys into his drawing style, John Byrne.
So they erase their memories, but they still remember that they're. For example, Clark Kent still remembers he's Clark Kent, but he doesn't remember that he's Superboy and doesn't remember that he has superpowers. And I like that. Yeah, that's very rapidly undermined when Mordru starts to look into the memories of everybody in town. And this is a kind of a cool panel here. I mean, cool in its boringness, where Mordru is looking into the minds of just all these random people, and there's like a coach and a doctor and a guy signing a piece of paper and like a lady washing dishes. They all feel a powerful alien thought touch their brains.
Yeah, the idea does work really well with Pete Ross. It gives you a good reason for Pete Ross to have that knowledge. Like he's a good, he manages, since his mind's never erased, and he knows who Superboy is, he then is able to, help free the heroes. But that is all kind of undermined by these other people who Superboy didn't think about, who had seen them briefly, like in costume in the issue before. Like if the plot idea, so if his ray had somehow erased everyone's memory that he saw them, it would work a lot better, because Pete Ross is the one guy who he doesn't knows his secret identity.
Yeah, he never could have figured that out, huh?
Right. So that would have been, if he was the only leak, then it would have been great. But some of this is just him being sloppy. Like
the Chief Parker and the wife saw Duo Damsel,
right,
as is displayed right here in this panel. Here's a cool panel, big eye panel with heads. Yeah, some of this I think just this like searching of Mordru, where it just shows his eyes. It's like a I don't know, like the 30s Dracula movie or something,
Right.
where
I think it
pretty
looks a
cool.
little better on the littler one though, because I think Mordru is the same. He's like green. He's not flesh tone. Like it's energy
Yeah.
or
Yeah, we discovered that on the last one of these, right?
right.
Where
There's a
the
lot of
original
literal
stuff was
coloring
way
in the new
better.
one.
Oh yeah, it's much cooler in the little one. Even this is better. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll put away this stupid treasury and just suffer through the crinkly water damage. Yeah, this drawing you said you liked so much.
Yeah.
It looks a billion times better here. Like the color is a lot richer.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, he's green.
Mm-hmm.
And well, everything's off by a page.
Yeah. A lot of strange coloring choices on the bigger one.
Yeah, well, it's just like real plain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna put away this one. Screw this one.
Just zoom in more.
All right. Now you're talking. This is a page where he decides to summon his armies from the 30th century.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the big army, they got cool tanks. And then this is really crazy. He cuts Smallville out of the surface of the earth and puts it up in space so that the heroes cannot escape.
Yeah.
He never did anything like this in, I don't know, later adventures. Like, I don't know, it's like he was all powerful when they first introduced him, and
right.
I guess he remained all powerful, but he never really displayed it in, I don't know, in as meaningful or an explicit way as in this one where he, takes up a whole town,
right,
and turns it into a prison. Or
it's a little weird though, because isn't his kryptonite is kind of dirt, right?
Yeah, it's his phobia.
Right. There's another thing about that doesn't make sense towards the end of the book, but we'll get to that. But yeah, it's kind of funny that he's lifting all this earth off the ground and into space when he's so phobic of the earth.
And here, Dad Kent is like, if only Superboy were here, but he hasn't been around for weeks. Just to give us an idea of how long the heroes have been hiding out in Smallville. And it was just a few weeks ago that the town was taken over by criminal gangsters.
Mm-hmm.
And here we get to see like the first pages of Mordru's 30th century army. They're like, I think the color choice on these guys is not so good. Like they look like they have kind of like ugly monster faces,
yeah,
and their military suits, but they're like these banana color suits, and they're just painted like their skin is just kind of Caucasian. Like if these guys were green, they'd look a little more intimidating. But they're trashing the town. They're rounding up everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I want to go back for a second. Where was it that? Yeah, I missed it. Like this part where the Legionnaires haven't done a good job of covering their tracks.
Mm-hmm.
This part where this blue spot appears on Betsy Norcross, aka Shadow Lass in disguise.
Oh, right. From last issue. That happened last issue, right?
No, I think it happened here. Well, I can't remember. But see, it just got me thinking about, if she doesn't remember that she's a hero, what does she think when she like puts on her pajamas and discovers that she's in like whiteface, I guess is what you call it. Like she's her skin is actually blue and she's wearing full body makeup. That would jog her memory, right?
You think Superboy or Mon-El might accidentally kill somebody like patting him on the back too hard or something like that.
Yeah.
I think this was last issue though, like Superboy pretended the ink got on her arm or something like that to cover it up.
Right. I think that did happen in the last issue. But just that idea that the makeup could rub off, or if she thinks she's just a regular girl from Metropolis or from Smallville, like would she be bewildered to discover that actually she's blue?
She'd keep covering it up, I'm sure, so she didn't stand out.
I guess so.
But Superboy only intended them to be hypnotized for 1 hour, right?
That's true. I don't know why he thought that's all it would take for Mordru to give up on them. Like, he's been chasing them for weeks. But if they don't use their memories for an hour, he's like, they're not here, I guess.
It would almost make a more interesting story if they just forgot about Mordru and everything else, and it was just these teenagers all realizing that they had these inhuman powers and they're trying to hide it from their community because they've all forgotten that they were superheroes. It'd be like Black Hole or something. Right.
That has to have been done before, all right? Anyway, back to these guys. These are like, they're using like total Gestapo tactics to find out where the heroes are. And then Lana Lang attacks one of them.
I like the head soldier in several drawings. He's got this kind of Boris Karloff face.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're all supposed to look like
the same.
All look like Karloff, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this panel was pretty good. This conversation panel between Lana Lang and Pete Ross, where they're facing front all the time instead of like doing some kind of weird 2-shot or over the shoulder shot. It seemed really effective. I didn't really realize that it was.
I think some romance comics and maybe some Archie comics kind of had panels like this.
Huh.
When they're trying to get a lot of back and forth out of the way.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it. But then they did get kind of stuck with this really dull panel right here in the middle where they're just like standing there.
Right.
I thought this part was funny when Pete Ross is like, Lana, get your Insect Queen outfit.
I'm not really clear on how he knows that she's Insect Queen, but I mean, I know that she doesn't know about his association with the team.
He must get like the Legion like newsletter or something.
Right.
And I thought it was kind of strange back here on the splash page. They introduce him and they point out the distinction that that what is it? Honorary Legionnaire Pete Ross and Legion Reservist Lana Insect Queen Lang. Like, I don't get the distinction. I don't know what the difference is between a reservist and an honorary. I mean, I guess I do. But a little kid reading this, like, who cares? What's the difference?
Right. She can actually be called in to help them fight the bad guys. He doesn't have any actual powers or fighting skills or whatever. So his is more of a we'll make you an honorary member as long as you don't tell everybody Superboy secret identity.
I wonder how many honorary Legionnaires they had. Not very many, right? Was he the only one?
No, I don't think so. Kid Psycho, was he an honorary or a reservist?
I think he must have been a reservist because they would call him in if it would dire emergency.
They should have made him honorary. That's mean.
Yeah.
Shortening his lifespan like that.
I mean, they never did use him, right? Except that one time when he actually he did it that time. I think the Insect Queen powers are disgusting.
Yeah.
She's turned into like half girl, half fly.
And she's always done this before, but it does really stand out a lot more in like the Smallville setting, and the fact that she doesn't shrink when she's using them. I have to call it. It reminds me again of like Charles Burns, like a Black Hole or something like that. You've got her as like a caterpillar wrapping herself around.
Yeah, it's disgusting. It's horrifying.
She's slithering around him, and she's got webbing all over his mouth, and I mean that's right out of like a Charles Burns comic.
Well, and also the next panel where she's like, my powerful beetle jaws cut away the cocoon. Like
right.
And she doesn't even. I don't know. She has beetle jaws, but she still has Lana Lang's face. Like, so I guess no matter what she turns into, it's always human proportion, and the top half is Lana, even if she has jaws.
I think they're probably steering clear of the comics good there. Like they're gonna be like, that's too much. If she had like mandibles coming out of her cheeks or something.
I guess. I mean, that would have been cooler, but it's still.
Yeah, it would have been
very messed up. Yeah, these two help Superboy get his memory back by trying to cut his hair. And then he goes and he restores the memories. Yeah, what happened so they couldn't use the machine? Man, we're really out of order. I only read this comic this morning, so I can't figure out what's going on. Did Mordru do something so that their memories didn't come back after an hour?
Yes, it's a little contrived, but what they're saying is, okay, now I understand where the miscommunication is. Okay, when he is scanning all of their minds, they're saying somehow a side effect of his entering their mind, searching, somehow made it so the hypnotism would not wear off within an hour. It's just become like permanent unless someone like deliberately sits out there and do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It made sense when I read this, but going through it right now, it was in there somewhere, but I don't remember what the hell. But now they got their memories back, and they're going to, with the help of Pete Ross and Lana Lang, they're going to take down Mordru for real this time.
Mordru's thoughts have had an effect on the mesmerized minds of the heroes, erasing the post-hypnotic suggestion, which was to restore their memories at the end of an hour. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's really like convenient. Like it erased the suggestion that they would remember their memories, but it didn't erase the suggestion that they would forget their memories in the first place.
Right.
It didn't reverse that part.
Right.
Whatever. This panel's kind of funny. Like Lana's so excited that she can't sleep because they're going to do their plan tomorrow, and Shadowlass is like, "Shut up! Try to get some sleep," because she's talking a mile a minute. And then they go and they kick the ass of some of these future soldiers. I think the tank is super cool. Like it's like a 40s car or something turned into a sci-fi tank. I think the military ought to adopt this design.
These future Nazis.
The U.S. military.
Yeah, yes.
And they get caught, and I think they purposely get caught, and they're bound up here.
They spend a lot of time underground and fighting or interrupting from the ground in this. And though they never say it explicitly, it would make sense. Like maybe that's because of Mordru's vulnerability there. Maybe he can't sense things through the earth. But I don't know, like 4 or 5 times in the story, they've been underground.
They begin by tunneling away, and he can't find them.
And they did some of it in the last issue too.
They're not underground here, though. He's put his headquarters into the hills around Smallville.
That was the other thing I was going to bring up. It's like a cave, right? Seems like a strange place for someone like him to put himself.
Yeah. Is it foreshadowing that he?
Well, we know this guy's thousands of years old. He's been around the block a few times.
He can't stop using caves.
Yeah.
But these 4 Legionnaires have been captured, but it's Pete Ross in disguise as Superboy, and Duo Damsel is one of herselves is in disguise as Shadowlass. So the real Shadowlass and Superboy are still free.
A good use of Duo Damsel's powers. I don't think we've seen them pull something like that off before.
Yeah, that is a really good use. But if you actually know what she looks like, it wouldn't work.
Except the way most of these guys drew all the girls, they look the same. They just have different colored hair, costumes.
I suppose. But like, let's say that It's like Bouncing Boy's surprise birthday party.
Okay.
Duo Damsel shows up, but she's all painted blue with black hair.
Right.
He would know that
Right.
that's Duo Damsel in disguise.
Right.
Anyway. And here they're doing this. This is the kind of delineation of Shadowlass's powers, where there's no color on this page.
Mm-hmm.
It's just black, kind of parallel lines to make it look dark. Kind of cool. Another artist might have used, dot screen or something for this,
or a solid color.
Yeah, but somebody ruled out, or they just drew them freehand lines for all this stuff.
And how does that look on your copy? Does it look good?
I mean, it looks fine to me.
It's not like off register or anything.
No, there's nothing to be off register. It's all black and white.
It's pure black.
Yeah. Mordru says, "Idiots, did you think your feeble powers could overcome my magical might? This time I'll use my magic to bind you. I'll see that you never escape." And then he transports him to his courtroom. And it's like Devil and Daniel Webster kind of scenario. A kangaroo court of all the baddies are judging them.
Right. And it's sort of implied that these are all guys they've locked up in the past or tangled with, I think.
I guess so.
I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't look to see if any of these guys had actually appeared before. Probably not. They feel made up.
No, I've never heard of it. I've never heard of any of them.
It's a little funny that he said, "Too bad the Fatal Five couldn't make it." It's like they had another engagement or something. Sorry, Mordru, we're busy fighting the Wanderers right now or something.
He had to settle for Coldan, the traitor.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish they had used, instead of future guys you never heard of, like the classic lineup of guys like Blackbeard the Pirate and like Benedict Arnold and stuff like that. I think that would have been better.
Yeah.
At least one old guy and not all future guys.
Like Golgro the Assassin has a fedora on.
Oh, yeah, he does. Yeah, I mean, they kind of look like they're from different eras, but they're, Thrun the Saboteur.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, did you hear that click? Like my pages are all brittle. It's going to fall apart. The attorney for the prosecution, I guess, is this guy named Wraithor, and his face is all scarred. And they replay how Superboy and Mon-El captured Mordru back in the day.
I like the setup is very a cliche kind of scenario, but I like the setup. I like that Pete Ross, for some inexplicable reason, is allowed to represent them. And
right, he's their lawyer. Yeah, pretty weird.
Right.
I liked this part. He says the prosecution will prove that the Legionnaires have committed numerous flagrant anti-crime acts.
Anti-crimes, yeah.
And then he says, can they deny that they put an end to the careers of the Time Trapper, Universo, Dr. Regulus, Dr. Mantis Morlo, and the Devil's Dozen? No. But the fact is, they have not put an end to those guys' careers. Except for Mantis Morlo, I guess, who maybe only opposed them one time. All the other guys, they're always free. They're always fighting them.
Yeah, where are all those guys? Aren't they here?
Yeah, they should be on the jury, shouldn't they?
Yes, because their careers were ended.
I mean, maybe they were in jail at this point, but I don't know. They're always fighting the Time Trapper in Universo.
And Dr. Regulus.
Yeah. Those other two guys, not so much. But anyway, they convict him, of course. Mm-hmm. Here's another one of these very exciting atypical panel arrangements with kind of an hourglass shaped panel there in the middle. I think it's pretty cool. They put Mon-El on the stocks, and Superboy is on this. It's just he's tied up and he's hanging. Yeah, he's floating, like the rope it ends. It's not attached to anything. Kind of weird. This is very, very serious drawing of Pete Ross. He's aged 20 years here. But they found him guilty on all counts. They're going to prison.
Yeah.
Now they're in the cave, and they've got this awesome crane and a vault where they're going to imprison these guys that is lead lined, kryptonite coated, triple steel framed, and inertron sealed. It is pretty grim. Like, imagine getting imprisoned in something like that, and you're just going to starve to death in there. And they're like, I mean, these guys are teenagers, you know? Nice job, Mordru.
Yeah.
You're going to kill a pack of kids. But they discovered that it's not really as dangerous as he thought. It's not real kryptonite. The lead doesn't bother me. This is a thing that kind of threw me for a loop. Doesn't make any sense. Mon-El says, the lead doesn't bother me, though the serum that protects me from the lead has worn off. So he hasn't had protection from lead for all the weeks that he's been there in Smallville, I guess, but he's been fine. Usually it would kill him as soon as that serum wears off.
Right. I guess we don't know when it wore off. It's one of those weaknesses you can't think about too much, because like, how much lead is in this mine? Like, how much lead?
Yeah, I don't know how much lead's in anything, huh?
What about the walls of their house? This is the 50s. The paint chips.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on how the local government treats their like plumbing and their water supply. They're not in Flint, Michigan. They're in Smallville.
That's true. That's true.
But he's fine. The lead isn't bothering him, the so-called lead. And turns out this guy, Raythor, is helping him out.
Right. So Pete Ross got through to one of them, at least.
In what way? What do you mean?
Well, I think he says as much somewhere around here. I don't know if he said it yet, but I think when Pete Ross was making the case for the heroes and how Mordru was probably going to end up double crossing them all. Like, remember when he realizes like they're all under Mordru's control. I can't sway any of these guys. Well, this guy he managed to sway.
Oh, I thought this guy only helped them because he wanted revenge against Mordru.
He does.
Oh, I see. He says it's Pete's speech somehow broke Mordru's spell over.
Right.
I see. Did he give a really impassioned speech? I don't think he did. It's not like he's Mr. Smith Goes to Washington or anything here. He's like, sure, if Mordru got control of the universe, everyone would be a stooge of that big shot magician, just like every one of you is.
Yeah, but you can actually see right there, they actually did kind of work it in, because you can see he looks incensed or something. He's like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah, there's some little like motion lines on his forehead.
Right.
He's coming to his senses.
Right.
Huh. Nice job. That's all Jack Abel right there drawing those motion lines.
Yeah.
But instantly he's vaporized. This is messed up.
Yeah,
I forgot about this.
Right when he says goodbye, I've fulfilled my purpose for the story. See you later, Dad.
Yeah, he's like, good luck, and and Mon-El accurately points out, looks like Mordru got him. But this is a pretty good effect of him being vaporized by Mordru. Yeah. It would almost be cooler if they did, instead of black fizz dots, maybe some kind of color hold of red. That would be cool. Or magenta, and then mixed with this little bit of yellow. That would look pretty cool. Too bad we can't send him a letter. So it looks like they're in Mordru's clutches once again. He's got him. Okay, Mordru says, at last, Legionnaires, I'm going to do what I should have done long ago. Just kill them outright, I guess. I don't know why he didn't do that if that's what he wanted.
Right.
Whoa, this is pretty cool. It says, with that, the power of Mordru begins to take form in his giant hands, the power to move worlds, blacken suns, the power to annihilate galaxies combine in a massive fireball of force to be hurled at 6 helpless mortals. Overkill, Mordru, but...
No, it's just so funny because they're just building up like the gravitas and scariness of him right before he just does like the dumbest thing I've ever seen a supervillain do. Like,
oh yeah, he as Mordru pours his last iota of terrible force into his weapon and lifts it high above his head. The and awesome energy makes the walls crumble around him.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, that's right. That's my weakness.
What a clown. Well, what's crazy is that they didn't defeat him. They still didn't defeat
I know
him.
they didn't. They had nothing to do with it.
Like they tried everything.
Right. They would have been doomed.
Yeah, if Mordru wasn't so fucking stupid. He's like this big wizard who's like whatever, annihilated galaxies or whatever.
Right.
Oh, but he forgot he was like there was a bunch of loose soil around him, and that's what can take him out. I don't know.
It's just the more they build it up with, it just makes it cornier.
He just seems so pathetic.
Right.
But if he ever gets free again, I don't know how they're going to stop him. Let's just hope he doesn't get free.
They should let Dirt Boy on the team just for that, like just in case Mordru comes back.
Yeah, do they have a hero like that? Like Terrax? That's a Fantastic Four bad guy,
right.
They have Earthman, but I don't think Earthman has powers like that. Earthman is absorbency boy, right?
There's got to be, during those tryouts, there's got to be some like topsoil lad or something.
Yeah, what would his name be? Trying to think of like a good alliterative nickname. Dirt, soil, earth,
garden.
Shit, what's that white stuff that they put in the soil mix? Vermiculite.
Right.
Vermiculite Vic. But it says, but the Lord of Darkness is entombed again in eternal darkness, and as if to make sure, the heat of the fireball fuses the fallen rubble, defying man or the ages ever again to free his evil. But six figures do make it to the surface. They got out. They dug out, I guess. I think this is kind of a funny little, like this one little caption says, after returning Smallville to Earth, like somehow between this panel and this panel, he's taken a city that's in space inside a bubble and put it right back where it came from.
Right.
He hooked up all the plumbing pipes and all the gas lines and all that stuff. It's all fixed.
They don't have plumbing and pipes in the DC universe.
Yeah.
Back then, right?
I don't know. Well, you could say that maybe Mordru, like he dug even deeper than that, but then there's like a water table and stuff down there.
Right.
And I don't know. But Superboy can fix that, but he can't stop this Mordru clown.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you start thinking about all of it, I mean, like, aren't the lights still working up there? So they still have electricity and.
Yep.
I don't know how long atmosphere lasts like that. I have no idea. But it's magic.
And what happened to the armies? When did the armies go back? I think they addressed that, didn't they? Or no, they didn't. It was last issue where the armies got sent back to where they belonged, right? It didn't happen here. They're still around.
They're all at the city mission now.
I bet Superboy executed all of those guys.
I'm sure it's something like they all returned to their regular times. Or maybe they were all committed in there. They're all living on the streets of Smallville.
Yeah, the streets, in that giant downtown that Smallville has.
What were you going to point out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that was a pretty cool. It's like kind of a montage effect where she kind of has a reaction to each of his directions. He's like, listen carefully. You'll leave this place. Go directly home and forget all about my secret identity. And she has a reaction they've drawn 3 Lanas, each one reacting to his instruction. Instead of just drawing her one time.
Oh, right.
Kind of a weird idea to do it that way. And she looks crazier in each pose.
There's 2 or 3 times in this comic where they do stuff like that, where they have like multiple moments within a single panel. Like the Avalanche, like when Mordru buries himself, for example.
Oh, right. Yeah. And that kind of, I don't know, that makes a little more sense, I guess.
They're kind of in their own panels, like the rocks.
Mordru's really looking like Denver Pyle in this drawing right here.
Yeah, it's just hard for me not to picture like Will Ferrell and like dressed up as Mordru in the scene.
Really?
Yeah.
Will Ferrell.
Yeah, it's just so campy. Like after sounding so sinister at first.
Well, I say use your imagination to make him be Uncle Jesse.
Uncle Jesse from like the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
Right. Or
that's what he looks like right here.
With the Darlings. Is it the Darlings?
He's the patriarch of the Darling family. So Superboy's trying to fix the memories of Lana Lang and Pete Ross, but Mon-El doesn't let him do it as a reward for helping them.
Right.
He doesn't let Pete Ross's memory be erased. It's like, I think all this memory erasure stuff that they do, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Like they have some kind of messed up fascistic stuff the Legion does. Like they have the monitor room where they can spy on people when they sleep, and you can erase people's memories on a whim, and on and on.
All the like Superman having all the life-size replicas of the girls he's loved his entire life, and I think he might even have robot versions of them.
Wouldn't be surprised. Like if you could build a robot version of anybody that's exactly like it's indistinguishable from a human, who would you make one of? Like yourself and all the girls you've loved, right?
Right. Be a tough call. Like either Cindy Crawford or someone just like me that I could send to work. I have to think about that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think I might prefer having, like at this stage of my life, like somebody who could take my place at work versus a hot babe.
Right. I agree.
Okay, and then they go back to the future, and they're all very pleased because they thought Mordru had killed the Legion back in the 30th century, but they tricked Mordru there too, and really easily. Like Princess Projectra's power fooled Mordru, the White Witch's power fooled Mordru, and Dream Girl saw it all coming. So,
right, is this White Witch in the middle here?
This redhead in the last panel.
Yeah, they made short work of him in the future, but then they're like, those guys can handle it. They don't need reinforcements. We'll let them figure it out. Back in 1955.
Do you suppose they didn't know? I can't remember how it played out. Did those four go back to Smallville without telling anybody, just to protect them or something?
Did they just abandon them? Like, they can figure it out. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think they thought that Mordru was coming after them because Superboy and Mon-El imprisoned him, so he was pissed at them specifically.
Right.
But it sure did seem easy for them to fool him in the future.
Yeah.
And I suppose if only they could have tracked down the kids in Smallville, then they could have sent friggin' White Witch back in time to do that there.
He is pretty gullible. He's not the brightest, and he's not the brightest of their adversaries. They can just put street clothes on to evade him.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what does Mordru even want? He just wants to conquer everything, but he's supposed to be ages old, and he has unspeakable powers.
Right.
But he's just dumb as shit, just like Clueless.
I never totally got him. I mean, I've grown to like him over the years, but it always seems strange. Like, this is your big future comic, and you've got this like Ren Fair wizard villain who's supposed to be like their greatest enemy or their second greatest enemy or whatever. I guess he kind of got demoted as Time Trapper became more popular in the 80s. But like back then, back in the Silver Age, he was definitely their greatest enemy.
But only based on these two issues, this one and the one prior to it, that really built him up. Like, like everything he ever did was in like the little preamble to the last issue. 369's Mordru's first appearance, and this is his second appearance. A lot of dumb shit to keep track of. Last panel of this comic says, Mon-El says, "Well, I'll be darned. To think of all the trouble we had dodging Mordru, how ironic that he was foiled by 3 girls.
Women.
How could girls do that? When Superboy and Mon-El couldn't even do it, 3 girls did it? What a sexist. What a chauvinist.
Yeah, it's depressing to think in 1,000 years we're going to actually regress back to that.
I mean, have we progressed today? Maybe a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I think so, but whenever you think we've moved forward, then you find out we haven't at all. You've just been blinded by your privilege all that time. Like, it's still terrible.
Yeah, I mean, you and I.
Right.
Of course, we know that 3 girls could easily do the job of 2 guys, of course.
Yes. Don't at me.
I mean, like, I don't know, not as much seemed to happen in this issue. Like,
No.
just like a plot line wise. Like, there was kind of 3 acts in the other issue, and there was the stupid sideline of King Carter.
Mm-hmm.
This one, it must have just been paced a little bit better or something.
Well, yeah, even though it does have a break in the middle, it doesn't feel like it's trying to act as 2 different stories in the same way the other one was. The other one's really kind of weird. It's almost like it's a crossover between two books in a split book. Like, Marvel always had split books. I guess DC probably didn't have a lot. Like, they'd have like a comic that was like half Cloak and Dagger, half Doctor Strange. And then sometimes they'd have a story where they appear in each other's strips, but they're still separated. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And that's what that first one feels like to me. Like, the first one is like this really dramatic one, and it's dark. And then usually the second one, which is the Superboy, like, Superboy usually had a backup. In the back, his stories are a little bit cornier, more like
yeah,
60s sitcom-y, zany. And the tone switches when it goes over to the Superboy half, as though it was acting as the Superboy backup, as it always is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I noticed it when we read that it was like, oh, this is a Smallville-centric dumb story.
Right.
Yeah, it's actually like the second Superboy story that has some Legionnaires guest starring in it.
Right.
Out of the blue.
That's
kind of weird.
Or...
He must have been thinking about doing that, right?
Right. Maybe.
Like, Shooter's like, I'm going to take over this whole issue, but for the Superboy half, it's going to guest star the Legionnaires, and the Legion story is going to be the Mordru, and just continued it. That's kind of a cool idea. But this one doesn't have a Superboy backup story. It's all Legion.
Right. It's still kind of split up, like and it has that little title box along the top, but the tone doesn't change drastically like it did in the last issue. It's mostly just a continuation.
Right, straight up continuation.
I think also maybe I've heard or read that maybe there were some arbitrary rules by the editors about them having to have more than one story in the books back then. Like, they didn't want them to do like a whole 22-page story.
I wouldn't, like, because a kid will throw it away or something. He won't read that whole story.
Or it might seem like they're getting ripped off because there's only one story, not 2 stories, or something like that. So, okay, I'm going to button this.
That was Adventure Comics 370. We did it.
Yay! Read them their marching orders.
Yeah.